You ask the coach how your child is getting on. They need to work on their first touch. Passing needs to be more consistent, and technically, the shooting is still something we need to develop. That sounds a lot like developmental feedback. It has specific skills in it. It's also almost completely useless for knowing what to do next. Not because the coach is wrong, but because a skill list doesn't tell you when the first touch breaks down, under what conditions, or why. It describes what's going wrong. It doesn't describe the situation producing it. The issue isn't the coach, it's the question. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you a free tool that shows you exactly how to translate whatever the coach tells you into the right kind of practice at home. But first, let's fix the question. A lot of parents ask some version of the same question after a session. How is my child doing? What do they need to work on? And coaches give some version of the same answer. A list of skills. First touch, passing, shooting, decision making. This sounds like useful feedback. It uses the vocabulary of development. The problem is that a list of skills describes what's going wrong without telling you when it goes wrong, under what conditions, or why. It describes the symptom. It doesn't describe the situation producing it. Take needs to improve first touch, for instance. It could mean that the ball is arriving too fast to control. Could mean they are receiving the ball without having read where the pressure is. So the touch goes forward into a defender rather than away from them. Could mean they are receiving on their front foot. Could mean they struggle under physical pressure they haven't learned to absorb yet. These are completely different problems, and they need completely different environments to develop. A list of skills can't tell you which of these it is. The coach who says first touch needs work has observed something real. They've given you the label, but not the situation. So, why do coaches give lists of skills? Well, it's probably because that's what the standard question invites. What does my child need to work on is an outcome question dressed as a development question. The honest diagnostic answer is probably more like it depends on the situation, and I'd need to watch specifically for that to give you a better answer. Most coaches simply don't have time to deliver that in a 2-minute car park conversation. A list of skills is accurate, it's defensible, and it moves the conversation forward. The coach is answering what they were asked, and I've been there, done that myself. Giving a parent a few specific skills that a child could benefit from improving, because I was trying to gather everything from after practice in order to make it back home in time for another social commitment. The thing is, a coach does have specific information about your child. They are watching the session with a practitioner's eye. What they observe and can describe is different from what the standard question invites them to report. A coach watching a session can tell you which situations your child is finding difficult to read right now. They can tell you where in the sequence the breakdown tends to happen before the ball arrives, in the moment of receiving it, or in the decision after. They can tell you whether your child is reading what the game is asking for or waiting to be told what to do next. They can tell you what your child is attempting that isn't yet working and what they're doing with confidence. That's situational information. It describes what your child is doing inside the environment, not a list of what is missing. The coach has this, or they can absorb for it. They just haven't been asked. The shift is in the direction of the question, away from a list of skills toward situation and pattern. The question, or a version close to it, is, which situations is my child finding hardest to read right now? It's a different kind of question. It invites the coach to describe a pattern, not a skill. It gives them something specific to report rather than a general impression to summarize. You certainly don't have to use these exact words, but keep the direction away from what skills are missing toward what situations are unresolved. A coach who is asked about situations will give you a different conversation than a coach who is asked about outcomes. The coach's feedback tells you about 3 hours a week, which situations the club session is asking your child to navigate, and which are still unresolved after a season of training. That's quite useful information. It tells you nothing about the other 165 hours a week, though. The environment at home, the load across the full week, what practice, if any, is happening outside the club. That picture is yours. No coach has access to it. The biggest value of the better question is this. You find out whether the situation your child is struggling with is being addressed anywhere in their current environment. If the coach tells you your child is finding the moment before receiving difficult, not yet scanning, not yet reading what is coming, that is specific. Not in the sense that you now go home and drill that skill in isolation. The insight is different. Is there any environment in your child's week where they practice reading that situation with real opponents and real consequences? A drill environment almost certainly does not. A game-based environment probably does. The situational information from the coach tells you what to look for in the other 165 hours of a week, not what technical component to isolate and fix. The coach is giving you situational data on their 3 hours. In return, you probably need to give them context on the other 165. When you tell a coach, hey, he or she has exams and has slept really badly this week, you're not complaining, you're giving them the data they need to protect his or her physical load bucket during the sessions this week. A good coach can use that. They can adjust session intensity, reduce the physical demand, give your child a lower pressure roll in Thursday session, knowing what is already in the load bucket. But the coach can't know this without you telling them. You are the person with the full picture. The week level context, the load that can't be observed in a training session, is exactly the kind of information that separates a managed development year from one that ends with a soft tissue injury in February. You are not reporting to the coach. You are giving them data they need to make better decisions for your child. You now know why the skill list gets produced and what direction gets you something actually useful. Try to shift that the next session. The free tool in the description helps you build game-like play sessions at home that develops what the coach is describing. Check it out. For the full picture, what the coach is saying, what the 165 hours need to be doing, what the load looks like, you can apply to work with me below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.